Hello everyone and welcome to something kind of new. This is Tournament Deck Spotlight. Today we're taking a look at Nodametkatou's post-nerf Machina Forestcraft deck that he brought in his lineup in the West Shadowverse Open April Cup just last weekend. He made it all the way to the semifinals with it, not to mention the Swiss rounds he had to play with this lineup to get to the top 8 playoffs in the first place. So clearly the deck is still performant despite the nerfs, which is what I wanted to highlight. It is a highly aggressive deck, which aims to get on the board and keep it, dealing damage all the while. Damien got changed from 6 play points to 7, and Iron Glider Elf had its cost reduction effect removed, yet both are still in the list simply because they are still good at what they do. Iron Glider enables you to draw more cards to keep up pressure on the board, while Damien is still highly effective as a big finish, as you can see here in Nodametkatou's quarterfinals match against CPV Rackle. Cards such as Changewing Cherub and Cleft Dual Fencer allow you to perform great tempo swing turns, establishing threats while removing those of your opponent. On turn 4 in that same game, look how Nodametkatou completely turns the board state around with those cards, as well as Robotic Bagworm. It's a key card in the deck that ties turns together, being able to play more cards in a turn, perform combos, establish more followers on the board, and activate Damien himself. There's really nothing to complain about here. The deck can be so aggressive that you don't even need to get to Damien though. Take a look at this game in the semifinals that Nodametkatou played against Auto-Aim's Shikigami Runecraft. The sheer amount of tempo led to the game ending decisively on turn 6. Of course, if you can't end the game that quickly, the deck is not floundering by any means. Natur al Machinus is included as a powerful draw engine and combo enabler for the deck. Using the new fusion mechanic, the card drew and discounted 2 Damiens in that quarterfinals game against CPV Rackle, which directly led to that Damien victory. Finally, an interesting addition to this list in particular that isn't all too common is the 2 copies of Shiva. As a ward follower with great stats, it provides some defense to the deck for sure, but mostly you play it for the effect it gives of heal, buff, or direct damage at the end of every turn, which works quite well with the way the deck is trying to be played. The heal gives you some measure of longevity, the buff works well as you're continually flooding your board with followers, and the direct damage, it's direct damage. So here is a game that I played with this deck not too long ago, just to show off the deck in action as well as highlight some of the cards I haven't talked about yet. We are up against Natura Dragoncraft here, which is a powerful deck in its own right. We are going first, which is very valuable because we are an aggressive deck, and especially against Natura Dragoncraft, while they're still doing stuff like ramping, you can just immediately go on the board and start dealing damage and taking the tempo, right? So I mulliganed there fully for better early game. We still got another Cleft Dual Fencer, but I also got the early game I was looking for with Changewing Cherub and Wayfaring Illustrator. Turn 2, I still end up playing the Cleft here because it's the best play. And they counter with a Desert Pathfinder, which is pretty standard for Natura Dragon. Turn 2 Desert Pathfinder into turn 3 Whirlwind Pteranodon, as you'll soon see. But I'm able to play the Changewing Cherub and take the tempo. Changewing Cherub, such a good card. You get to establish a threat while dealing with their cards. And then I also play the Ironback Beetle here, just to flood the board, which is, again, kind of the game plan here, trying to end this game as quickly as possible before they can ramp up and get their game plan off. Now they, again, like I said, play the Whirlwind Pteranodon, but because of the Wayfaring Illustrator, I'm able to just play another Changewing Cherub and deal with that as well, and then everything goes face. I don't have to waste any resources trying to be defensive. Cards like Wayfaring Illustrator and Guard of the Machina Tree, as you see in our hand, are so good for this, being able to make use of the fanfare of our cards over and over and over again and just get maximum value out of them. So they evolve Princess Knight here into our Cleft, but only dealing with 1 threat out of 5 isn't that good for them, especially because here I can just attack with the Changewing Cherub, send it back with the Guard of the Machina Tree, play it again, deal with the Princess Knight, and then as you'll see here, I evolve the other Changewing Cherub and go face. Not only does it get full evolve stats, but I also get an additional card in hand, so more resources for later. And look at our hand, we have Natural Machinus and 2 Damiens, so even if this game wasn't going to end super quickly, I still have some more resources in the back. If I thought that this game would go on any longer, I maybe would have picked Natra and Grape Tree from the Changeling Cherub to fuel my Natural Machinas, but as you can see here, they play Cursed. It gets rid of my Iron back, but then they concede because they just couldn't compete with the amount of tempo I'm playing on the board. So there you have it. That's Nodametkatou's post-nerf Machina Forestcraft. It's got a lot of the same tools with a lot of the same power despite the nerfs, but it also has a few very interesting inclusions that not everybody is thinking about. Again, it got all the way to the semi-finals of the West Shadowverse Open April Cup last weekend, so if you have the cards or you're willing to craft this list, give it a try. Before we close off, I wanted to mention that the registration for the Southeast Asia Oceania Shadowverse Open April Cup is still open. I would love to see more people try their hand at competing in this game, so link in the description below. Signing up is free, and there's cash prizes and packs to be won, so go for it and see where it takes you. That's it for this video. Like it if you did, don't if you didn't, leave a comment with some feedback for me, and subscribe and hit that bell for more Shadowverse content in the very near future. Thanks to my wonderful patrons. Really appreciate ya. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.